Bit by bit, BMW is presenting their all-electric models besides the older BMW i range. Now, the existing cars are being electrified and they run just from the same assembly line as the combustion engine models. And here today we have the BMW iX3 for you, the electrified BMW X3 in our driving part, but of course a tour on exterior, interior, and then the electrified driving experience. As you know, in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. Sometimes it's strange as for the strategy of the automotive manufacturers. Volkswagen AG began with electrifying their existing vehicles, then now went on to a purely electric platform. BMW Group started with pure electric platforms, separate like BMW i3 and so on, and now they went the other way and just produced the very same vehicles like BMW X3 here with combustion engine, same platform, also then as the all-electric version. Yeah, you can't really say what's wrong or what's right. It's more about the volume of cars, the number of cars you build, what probably makes more sense. We'll see who will succeed even more. The frontier of the BMW iX3, you can see almost closed front double kidney in this new electric style. Then blue is the color, and yeah, for me, Thomas Blue favorite. Really cool, especially here with these accentuations in the inside of the kidney. We also have a dark blue color here for today. Headlamps standard with LED, optional the adaptive LED lights. They are also right here, and then they also have a more sophisticated daytime running light. So overall, it does not look too different from normal X3, more really, with this closed front grille look. But I think, it works. Or what's your take on it? The length is at 4 meters 73, 15 foot 5, or 186 inches, the same as the combustion engine BMW X3. There are different wheels, either 19 or 20 inch, and both in an aerodynamic styling. You can see here, these are the optional 20 inch wheels. Then you have special eye accentuations, like here, BMW i is still the electric brand, and blue contrast here, bright blue contrast in the lower area. So this gives, a little unique styling. Still the crossover wheel arches, and then the classic building formula of the X3 with the upright windows. That also gives you a good roundabout visibility. Very interesting paint here, by the way, if you look closely, and you can see almost like sparkling in the paint. Really interesting. Technology-wise, of course, all electric means we have a big battery pack then in here, and it's really in the lower center of the vehicle, and this brings the center of gravity really way lower than with the normal vehicle, about 7.5 centimeters or 3 inches lower. And this then ensures a more sporty driving characteristics, although there's more weight. Soon more to that in the driving part. How will we experience that actually? This will be very exciting. But what do you think here about the styling of the EV version? This is the battery pack here. Yeah, it's a dummy sample. 80 kilowatt hours gross, 74 kilowatt hours net capacity, and this is supposed to give you an official range of 460 kilometers or 285 miles. And recharging here, AC and DC. Really nice covers here for both, and also a soft pad behind that, so that's very well done. 11 kilowatt AC charging, 150 kilowatt DC fast charging is possible, and they also feature a heat pump here in the iX3, and they claim that this is overall bringing 30% more efficiency if you compare it to the BMW i3. And what does the heat pump do? It doesn't put your range higher or something, but the thing is that it reduces the effect that the range gets reduced in winter times. So that's what the heat pump is actually doing. It is again increasing the efficiency, that you have less range losses. And BMW also calculated the efficiency factors or percentages when you think about what energy you put in the first place and what is actually translated into motion then. And for the iX3 it's about 93%, and for the comparable combustion engine it's less than 40%. And that doesn't only count for the BMW X3 versus iX3, but also in general about electric vehicles versus combustion engines. The electric vehicles are just more efficient from translating the initial power than into the power you set into motion. Really interesting. Then here at the rear you can see design-wise three-dimensional tail lamps, but that's also normal for this X3 generation. Special for the iX3 is, you have these like diffuser style blue accentuations in the lower part, of course no exhaust, and these were criticized a little bit. I've seen in the comments initially, but I think it's also quite cool. Here also blue ring about the around the BMW logo. We can also see it in the front. And I think it just adds some more unique styling here to the iX3. By the way, 286 horsepower is the peak output. 6.8 seconds is the acceleration figure to 1 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. That's a little bit slower than the comparable BMW X3 30i, but still, definitely reasonably powered, this vehicle. And the top speed, of course all electric, is electric only, 180 kilometers an hour or 110 miles per hour, and rear-wheel drive only, so that stands also for a sporty BMW SUV. And last thing here for the numbers as for the rear, it does have a towing capacity, somewhat limited, 750 kilograms or about 1,650 pounds. And here we also have a white vehicle for you, where these blue contrasts are even more prominent. But if you say now, wait a minute, I just want to have my iX3 look the very same as an X3, besides of the closed kidney and so on, you can also depick the blue contrast and have it just in the frozen gray. This is, by the way, also standard if you pick a different color, for example with the red color, because BMW said red and blue doesn't mix that well. So with the red vehicle, for example, you have these accentuations then in frozen gray. Or then, as I said, you can just depict it also here for the white or for the black vehicle if you want to have a more plain, not so special look. Because here, especially, for example, with the white vehicle, the blue accentuations are really strong also again in the rear. For me personally, I found it just very cool in styling because it's actually unique and also signalizes that you drive something different than an X3 combustion engine. But maybe you think about it differently, so I would like to hear you in the comments if you would go or stick with these contrasts, or if you would actually depict them and go for a more plain look. Here once again the blue ring here around the BMW logo. So I found the styling really very beautiful. To me the most beautiful X3, but what's your take? And here the frunk is no frunk, so there's no real storage space under the front hood. That would have been cool, for example, for charging cable or something. They just decided to have it like as a full cover. Then, yeah, whatever, nothing to show you here. Then inside, let's check out the door closing sound. Oh, sounds quite good. Then here Sensatec top parts, soft touch. Nice interior here with a matte aluminum style, but of course not real aluminum here. And then door handles, open, close, X logo. This is also a beautiful detail. You also have reasonable door pockets. And then the interior of the iX3 is not too different. Here again the blue accentuation around the logo. You can also see it here around the shifting lever. As for the seats, there are normal seats and sport seats available, and standard would actually be a Sensatec animal-free cover in black or brown. It almost looks the same as it is right here, also with these patches here, but this is the optional animal skin surface, and the only difference you see there, this has like a double stitching here, which the Sensatec seat would not have, but you really have to know that to see then or feel the difference. Comfort is actually quite good. In the X3 you already have a sophisticated SUV seating position. The BMW X1, is meanwhile also an SUV, not only a crossover anymore, but here the X3 definitely gives you like this grown-up SUV feeling already. So a nice and comfortable seating position. Steering wheel up and down, in and out, good smooth process. And The good thing here about the X3 is it's not as large as the X5, but already gives you a lot of comfort and a lot of space and so on. So I think it's, in a lot of ways a good compromise. 1 meters 86 or 6'1" still leaves enough headroom, even if you have this optional panoramic roof right here. It's not properly powered yet, the car at the moment, but you can also open it. It has actually quite wide opening. And here, different interior color. However, this is again the animal skin material. And there's also a seat form change possible. So this is the sport seat. We also seen it with the black seats here today. And the Sensatec I've been talking about is only available for the base comfort seat. So here the sport seat, a little bit stronger bolstering here. Sadly, these are not available with the Sensatec, so BMW here in this case did not really understand what it means to be more sustainable with the electric vehicle. So only Sensatec for the comfort base seats. They will give you a little bit more comfort. These here are a little bit sportier. Interior overview, typical X3, soft touch dashboard. Then here this infotainment screen is like this popped up, but it's very good to see. You here get standard for the iX3, the otherwise optional BMW Live Cockpit Professional, 10.25 inch on the right, 12.3 inch on the left as for the screens, and OS 7, operating system 7 from the BMW, features Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and both wireless now. So soon more deals to the screens. Steering wheel with a good size, right side for the volume, and nice these galvanized buttons and nice clicking sound feedback as well. Left side then here for controlling the cruise control, also with the newest assistance systems upgrade and so on. Here in the middle part, it's cool that you still have a manual volume knob, but you can also use gesture control, for example, like this. Yeah, magic. And you can also use the voice input. Hey BMW, where is the next charging station?
Which one of the destinations shall I select?
Yeah, oh, there's a charging station here. And also you can charge at BMW dealers. There's electric vehicle charging station. Yeah, so that already works quite well, especially with GPS input and so on. Then in the lower area here, still a manual volume knob, as I said here. Then also manual climate unit. This is easy to control while driving, so I really like this more old school setup here. Really also feels premium. iX3 logo in the lower part. Closed cover here, open it, and then have inductive charging pad for your phone and adaptive cup holders. Oh, and then there's here like this optional smoker's pack. I mean, when there's no smoke from the exhaust, then you need smoke inside, right? Yeah. So, and then here is interesting that you can go to a D mode or to a B mode then. So when the car is turned on, and in B mode there's then more recuperation happening. Other than that, you also have Sport, Comfort, and Eco Pro mode for the throttle input and so on. You can control the touchscreen also with this central control knob. That's possible. And then there's this armrest, and it's quite well attached. And there's USB-C charging then underneath next to this cubby hole. And one more close up here. What is my range would also be a voice command, for example, also suggesting what you can actually, say to the system. Then the GPS map also shows you some charging stations and reacts quite well. So nicely done as for that. Really responsive like this. And here in these car settings, for example, you can also have the independent climate unit, for example. It always comes with electric vehicles, or plan your charging and so on. Not sure how often this is then being used. The preheating, not sure what that was. Yeah, you can select the individual driver's profiles as well. Journey data, for example, will go more into depth when we drive the vehicle. And here the Apple CarPlay integration, like this, very well done. Android Auto now also available. And the sound system here, the optional Harman Kardon sound system. Wow, it's really cool, very rich sound. So yeah, can just recommend that here. And then you can always go back to the BMW menu. By the way, always interesting to see, you can also switch the recuperation here inside, and adaptive recuperation would mean that the car actually realizes what's happening on the outside. So just rolling when there's nothing in the front, but when there's a car in the front, or you approach a roundabout, you approach next traffic light, then there's more recuperation. So supposed to be the most efficient driving. And then you can also set the recuperation level for the D, for the drive mode, to high, medium or low. But I think it makes most sense to stick it here with the adaptive in the D mode and then switch to the B mode to the left if you want this, highest recuperation. But actually, like from all the experience BMW has, the adaptive mode supposed to be the best one. And when we start the vehicle here, the start-stop button is also in this nice blue color. And here the digital instruments, standard for the iX3 as I said. And now when I hit the start-stop button, listen to the sound designed by Hans Zimmer. So this is the new electric startup sound. It will be the same for all BMW electric vehicles. And when you shut it off again, so it's like and So then tell us in the comments what you think about this Hans Zimmer sound design. And here also nice visualization also of the actual vehicle color in the inside of the instruments. And then we can see on the left side the speed, and on the right side here we have the power output, and then we can also see the recuperation meter and so on, and tell you more about that when we drive the vehicle. And the head-up display is a nice option, speed, the current one, and also loud speed and GPS error informations if you have a destination set. Ambient lighting set to blue here, that's the most fitting one, but you can also change the colors, and it's actually quite nicely integrated here at the side of the dashboard and also at the inside of the doors and so on. Any compromises on the rear bench? Let's first take a look. Well, it looks quite normal for the X3. Definitely here, middle tunnel here with 2 USB-C chargers. You can see it in the lower part right there, and also a rear climate unit. And let's take a seat. Soft touch sensor tech also the inside of the doors, upper part. And yeah, it's totally fine, really comfortable, enough legroom. And again, with 1.86 or 6.1, also enough headroom. Would be a little more headroom if you leave out the panoramic roof, but that's totally fine. So comfortable seating here. Then you can control here the back part of the seats a little bit with this lever here in the angle. You can also fold them directly from here. I mean, this is more for the angle, and this in the upper part to fold them directly. Isofix at the outside part. Then in the middle, yeah, I mean, you can also reasonably sit in the middle. Not the most comfortable one because the bolt string is a little bit stiffer right there. There is still somewhat a middle tunnel. This shows us that it's not like a primary electric vehicle platform, and they also sometimes do it then, for example, for stability reasons. But in this case, then also the X3 usually would be all-wheel drive. Then they also leave the middle tunnel here in this EV version, so they can, for example, use it for more battery storage and so on, or just for stability reasons. Then here, adaptive cup holders, some more cubby hole space. And you can also just fold this middle ski hatch if you like. As for the trunk, 510 up to 1,560 liters means hardly any compromise as for that. If you compare to the combustion engine version, really square dimensions, very nicely done. This cover here is also not too bad, easy. So the only thing you lose, you don't have too much space here underneath, but I think we can really live with that. Even loading still, good quality and so on. And to fold the seats, you can also use the mechanism right here, left and right. Good solution, so a very well usable electric vehicle. Finally, something from the German premium manufacturers that is also not too big. Mid-size SUV or electric, this is something that the market will demand. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the BMW iX3 all electric. Startup sound, yeah, I just want to show that to you one more time. Putting the lever in drive mode, and then we start all silent. Really cool. However, there's also an acoustic feedback when pushing the throttle. I'll show that to you very soon. Then we go to the sport mode, so best boost here with the rear-wheel drive, and we accelerate out of the corner. See how agile this car is actually. Wow, that's awesome. Really cool. And you maybe also heard that sound. So when I'm in the sport mode, there's more acoustic feedback also. And this is supposed to give you a feeling of acceleration. So not only silent acceleration, but that you really have, some kind of a feeling of what's happening there actually. And we can also do a 0 to 100 kilometers now, or 0 to 60 miles an hour right here. And this is, again, so easy with the electric vehicles. I don't need a launch control or something. Just push the throttle all the way. Let's go. Plop, that's it. And really powerful. And I think the electric sound is actually quite nice. You know, it gives you indeed a little bit more of a feeling of what's happening. And this can actually be quite good for driver and co-driver, because sometimes, you know, you have like a spontaneous acceleration from electric vehicles and your brain doesn't really cope with it because it's so fast and there's no sound feedback. So just as a difference, when I'm in the comfort mode and do an acceleration, and then again when I'm in the sport mode and do acceleration, you know, it's a little bit louder. You can also individualize it, either depending on the drive mode, or you can, for example, also turn it off, so electric motor sound deactivated, and then there's nothing. You know, the question is, would be looking forward to hear your feedback on that one. Would you rather go for no feedback at all, like, you know, many other electric vehicles, or would you rather have this, you know, sound feedback when accelerating? It's of course all artificial. The question is it a benefit for the customer, or is it just annoying? We also had the discussion with the Porsche Taycan, where you can also turn it off, or it's also, you know, bound to a driving mode, that you more have it in the sport mode and you don't have it like in the normal comfort driving mode. I'm not sure about it yet. So, usually I was more a fan of all silent, but when it's electric, then you go all silent. But it's interesting, but I think to me it reminds me more of a combustion engine. So maybe it's interesting as a transition or so, but I don't know. What do you think, Michel? It's good, or?
It's okay.
It's okay, he says?
Yeah.
I mean, would you actually activate it in the electric vehicle?
I guess I would.
Okay, Michel would. I probably would deactivate it. Speaking now. So we're 50-50. So you decide and who wins, right? Acceleration to the motorway. Let's see, you get on here in a safe spot. And so far, I mean, like, the driving agility of this vehicle is superb. It feels like a sports car. That's 120. Wow. Really awesome. It's so much fun. It's definitely the most fun ride in an BMW X3 I ever had. I mean, not only the acceleration, just the 0 to 100 kilometer acceleration would be a little bit better in a 30i or something, but here it feels actually faster, and like the, you know, like 0 to 60 kilometers. This is then, for example, faster with the all-electric version, you know, like from the standstill, to compare like you know, comparable power combustion engines, but also from the whole driving dynamics. Indeed, the center of gravity is lower with this vehicle, so the steering input is really good, and you feel a low center of, wow, it's really amazing. I can just stress that due to the low center of gravity, the car feels so sporty. It, like, from the sporty characteristics, it does not feel like a grown-up SUV anymore. It really rather feels like a sporty 3 Series sedan or so. That's really amazing. So the, you know, enormous additional weight due to this battery pack is not playing bad with the car or something. It really affects the car in a very, very positive way. And I mean, I even would have fun like to drive it on a racetrack now. This is, yeah, I'm totally flabbergasted what they've done here with the X3. So definitely, I can already tell you right now, if you have the charging infrastructure and if the price is somewhat okay, BMW wants to lower the prices also for the iX3 in comparison to the combustion engine models. Like, not cheaper than the combustion engine, but wants to, even out this, this price difference a little bit. So if you can do that, just driving wise, for the customer experience from the driving, this electric version here beats all other combustion engines. It's so much fun to drive. It's really amazing. It's amazing. So, and then let's drive a little bit faster on the motorway. We can also do that. We are right now at the moment unlimited speed. Oh, come on, let's go to sports mode once more. And even here in the high speed areas, you can still accelerate very well, 160 kilometers an hour. Wow. And how silent and stable the car is remaining. Adaptive suspension is standard for this vehicle. Here in the sports mode, it's set a little bit stiffer, but great balance between comfort and sportiness, even here with the 20-inch wheels. So 19-inch would be a little bit more comfortable, but 20-inch still work. Here at 170 kilometers an hour, we start to pick up a little bit of wind noise, but still, I mean, we're driving an SUV. It's an upright car, and it's super silent. Also here, high speed on the motorway. Wow, so awesome, so flawless here in the driving. I'm really, really impressed. Good overview also to the rear, to the sides, upright building style. This is like a very, very good mid-size SUV. And I mean, just from the customer experience, from driving and what it delivers, probably now one of the best mid-size SUV overall. Yeah, I can just stress it again. If you then go for the Sensatec seats with the base comfort seats, even better. They deliver you a little bit more comfort and also, you know, follow more this sustainability approach of the whole electric vehicle. Then it's really all fine and doing so well here on the motorway, definitely. I mean, this was here now quite heavy in the you know, acceleration and so on. So when I go to the journey data here now, then it tells us like a very high electric consumption figure. So yeah, more than 25 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. That's of course when we really like floor it all out. What we really want to find out is the range realistic according to the energy consumption. And so I'll reset it here now and then start the driving part, you know, with more like what about efficiency and so on and so on. So we reset individual, also set the cruise control here. There's the assistant driving function or just the distance control. So both is actually available. And with the assisted driving, the car is also keeping me in the lane like this, active lane keeping assist, and quite good centered, not too intrusive. There's also blind spot monitor, we can see it right here, and when I put the turning indicators, then also starts to flash as an additional warning. So assistance wise, here also keeping the distance to the car in front of us. And this we're also really playing together with the electric drive of the vehicle. So what's happening? I'm at the moment in normal driving mode, and it's about the adaptive recuperation. This is standard for the vehicle. So when I'm just rolling, the car is not recuperating at all, using rolling energy, which is more efficient if you want to cover more distance. Then, if you want to decelerate anyway, recuperation makes sense, of course, instead of using the normal brakes. And that's happening when you use the normal brakes. That's happening when you are in this B mode, or stronger recuperation, but also then here in the adaptive recuperation mode. So when the car is in front of us here now and they are decelerating, also the adaptive recuperation does that. So I'm gaining back the energy. Or when like there's a next intersection or when there's a next traffic light, for example, then this adaptive recuperation is active, and thus BMW claims is the most efficient driving mode. The B mode would be the mode you go in for when you want the one pedal feeling. However, the thing is, when this adaptive recuperation is really so intelligent, probably you won't need it. And then it's actually good when you have situations. I'll cancel the cruise control now. Let's just test it. So I'm running towards this truck, and indeed, strong recuperation without setting cruise control or something. So it works without GPS data, without cruise control and so on, no problem. And here now, again in front of the truck, strong recuperation. So that works very well. Now the truck is gone beside. I was using the force, you know, just to like, yeah, that's okay, yeah. So now here there's a free road in front of us. Then I leave the throttle. No recuperation. We're rolling. Not sure if you can see that here. Also in the instruments, it's just like, you know, this arrow is on the base 0 line. So once again, leaving the throttle. No recuperation. Here, truck, automatic recuperation. That's That's very well done. What a cool system. So this really gives you more efficiency because, again, when you want to cover more distance, rolling is more efficient, of course, than getting on the throttle and recuperate again. So rolling overall makes more sense, unless then again, if you want to reduce the speed anyway. And in this case, I think most of the time I really like to have strong recuperation modes with the electric vehicles or plug-in hybrids. But when you have a mechanism like this, I think you can easily leave it in this automatic mode, leave it in this adaptive recuperation mode, and you're probably even happier because the car really adapts it to the according situation. And I think that's really, really well done. What would be the difference? Here the B mode. So when I get off the throttle, strong recuperation and it's really notable deceleration. But that's always happening then. It also has like a signaling arrow then in this digital instrument for that. So always then when I get off the throttle, it's like this. Maybe you say I want to drive an electric vehicle like this. Then you can still do it. It's not the standard mode when you put in the D mode, but at least you still have the choice to do so. But I found this approach here with the adaptive recuperation really, really interesting. So, more and more things we learn about this, these electric vehicles. So now when we take a look, we had more like constant speed now, and this about the 16 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. Fuel economy, or energy economy, we have to say now. So used to these vocabularies. And 16 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers would actually exactly hit the projected official range figure of 460 kilometers or 285 miles. So this is also quite impressive. For a mid-size SUV, this is indeed quite efficient. We can even bring it a little bit down. I mean, like 1 or 20 kilometers an hour is not like the ideal best fuel economy test for an electric vehicle. Like something between 80, 90, 100 would be the best for a combustion engine. And also here, when you put it like 80 kilometers an hour cruise control, because it would be even better here for that. Because the thing is, we get off the motorway very soon now. The thing is with the combustion engines, they have a sweet spot as for the efficient consumption. So when you say like cruise control 100 kilometers an hour or something, that will be kind of most efficient. But with electric vehicles is the faster you go, the higher consumption is, period. So it will be lower with lower speeds. There's no like a sweet spot of best consumption. It's just lower or higher. And that's why we can also score better fuel economy than if we just drive slower with this vehicle. But this is also a realistic everyday driving figure, when we're on the motorway and maybe commuting to work with 120 kilometers an hour, like 60 to 70 miles an hour or something. So this is really, really realistic. And we now see that when we recuperate a little bit more, then the consumption even goes down a little bit more. And we also have now some like countryside driving and see how that evolves. But so far the impression is really, that's also what BMW claimed, and I was skeptical about that at first. So they said that they didn't put the battery bigger. They wanted to cover more range with being more efficient. Also, for example, like in the front, these air channels or air curtains that go from the front to the wheel arches, we know it from combustion engine models, that increase efficiency. Then the aero wheels, that also optimize the wind flow in the wheel arches. Then the heat pump, especially when it's cold. Today, 7.5 degrees Celsius is it's not too warm actually. So the heat pump also plays a role for that, definitely. And also this new motor design they have, which is more efficient if they also compare it to like the BMW i3, which was the like initial all-electric project now. So this has been made definitely more efficient here, also with a synchronous motor. So far, really good in performance. The driving, the handling is superb. And now also the efficiency figure is actually quite good. It's even getting better
So now we had some more regenerative braking moments. We're about 13 kWh more kilometers. This would even exceed the official range figures. So yeah, I'm really, really impressed. So once again, to me, the problem with electric mobility is rather the infrastructure. Sometimes prices are of course still higher. Then you have sometimes like governmental, benefits or something that even that out. The driving experience is meanwhile, if you don't miss like a V8 sound or something, driving experience is probably the best with the electric vehicles, just from a customer perspective. Range is getting better and better with the batteries or also with more efficiency. And when you're driving like 20,000 miles, 40,000 kilometers a year, then maybe combustion engine is still better for you. But for most shorter ways and everyday commuting, electric vehicles are more suitable actually. To me, it's really about, do you have a proper charging infrastructure which relieves stress for fueling up the vehicle instead of annoying you. That's to me, I think, like the crucial thing. When you have a bad infrastructure, then the electric vehicles won't be fun. When you have good charging infrastructure, when you can just plug it in at home, then you have a lot of fun. Now some countryside driving, so this will be like not too slow speed, but also not really super high speeds. And we can really have also a joyride with this vehicle when it would be nicer weather. We could also open the roof. And here at the moment we just leave a lot of light in, and the car really feels so well balanced. And indeed, the experience we have had now for quite some time, that the electric vehicles are really more fun to drive, and the added weight is something which is rather an asset to the vehicle, gives more stability on the road, actually puts the center of gravity lower, told you about that initially, and makes the car even more agile in the corners. Here again, direct response from the steering and so on. Yeah, and once again, the adaptive recuperation is working very well. And by the way, when you go on the brakes, you can accelerate here. Wow, spontaneous acceleration, awesome, just awesome. Really like it is like this is a sports car, this is an SUV, this is an efficient vehicle. It's a comfortable one. I'm really absolutely blown away, and I've driven like 2,000 cars now in my life, and that doesn't happen that often. That I'm really like so satisfied with almost everything in detail, besides the seating surfaces set up here. So that really speaks for itself. And I know the BMW X3 for previous generation, this generation. We've been driving it in so many different engine versions, also in the M version and so on. And this is by so far the best and most striking version they've done. Yeah, this is in driving, in all aspects, top notch.
And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new BMW iX3, the EV of the X3. First of all, exterior, the basic dimensions are of course the same, it's not too different. The blue accentuations, I found them pretty cool. I think it's a unique design feature, but again, as I said, you can also de-pick them if you rather want a normal look, as it is also with the combustion engine models. Interior, you have reasonable space, as you know from the X3, and you already have an upright, grown-up SUV feeling and seating positions. And there are also no compromises here for the electric version, so you can also very well use the trunk and so on. A high build quality as well. A little bit sad that they do not offer more animal skin alternatives, but you can get the base comfort seats then with the Sensatec. That will do just fine, just not in this test vehicle here today. And also then the Sensatec both in black and also in this brown color. So the color is the same for today, also available if you want a little bit more spiced up color right there. Then driving wise, it's just phenomenal. It drives so well. It is sporty due to the low center of gravity. Due to the additional weight, it feels so sporty in driving. It has a spontaneous acceleration. This is also really cool, especially from the get-go. So just a flawless driving experience, both super sporty, agile and fun. at the same time can be driven very efficiently. So even at higher autobahn speeds, if you put cruise control, 16 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometer is a realistic figure. So that would indeed be the official range of 460 kilometers or 285 miles. So quite impressed as for that. They obviously really found an efficient concept here for their new all-electric vehicle. And this strategy here, that they put the very same core car and not put a separate EV platform, this will be the same now for all BMW Group vehicles. When we see, for example, the BMW i4, which will, so to speak, the electrified 3 or 4 series, this will basically follow the same concept. So very interesting to see also this different strategy here now from the Volkswagen AG, for example. And yeah, I can just stress again, this is to me one of the best vehicles of the year in driving, especially efficient and fun at the same time. And I mean, it's not a new vehicle at all. The BMW X3 in this generation has been out there. Of course, now the electrified version is now all new. But it's really interesting how an existing vehicle can be made so much better as for the whole experience you have with that you are basically blown away. And that doesn't happen so often when I drive the new cars. So really, really cool. The question is then, again, as I said in the driving part, do you have the proper charging infrastructure? And is your driving profile like not, salesman, 50,000 kilometers, 30,000 miles a year? So if you don't commute like every day, so many miles or kilometers, and if you have the charging infrastructure, then the electrified version is also very interesting. Sadly, the BMW iX3, the electric version, will not be sold in the US so far. BMW does not expect this to be a significant market. Would like to hear the comments from our friends in the US to that. They expect China to be the main market, and then of course also Europe. And as for pricing, the very first communicated price was 68,000 euros for the German market. However, this is also a highly spec'd vehicle, so you have a lot of included equipment already if you compare to the base X3. And then if you put a high spec X3 combustion engine, the difference is not that large anymore. Then if you count in some governmental benefits and tax benefits, it can be even out a little bit more. And BMW also announced that they want to, step by step reduce the price of the iX3 to get it closer to the combustion engine models. What else was criticized here? That this car is only built in China for the world market. Quality-wise, you do not see any difference to X3 that is built in Spartanburg in the US, or for example, also if you think about BMW that are built in Germany or something, so they have the same quality measures and so on, and the same standards as for that. Still, some people rather want to have a BMW built in Germany or in the US. You can also, of course, understand that. And last but not least, what's your opinion here on the BMW iX3? Really looking forward to your questions and also to your opinion in the comments. It's a very, very interesting vehicle. And yeah, as I said, to me, one of the most striking ones of the year. Although it's based on an existing vehicle, but even interesting that by electrifying it, you can actually make it so much better. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. See you next time.